Hey guys, what's going on? MJ Madness here, and after a nearly 5 month long hiatus due to the COVID 19 pandemic, the NHL will finally be returning this Saturday, August 1st, with the 24 team Return to Play tournament, where the top 12 teams in the Eastern and Western conferences will battle it out in empty arenas in Toronto and Edmonton, respectively, fighting to bring home the Stanley Cup. While the top four teams in each conference will automatically advance to the Stanley Cup playoffs, seeds 5 through 12 will be facing off in 8 best of 5 qualifying series for the right to join these top four competitors in that 16 team Stanley Cup playoffs. So today, we're going to be breaking down each of these 8 matchups, previewing what they're going to look like, and then giving you my predictions for each of the matchups and who I think is going to advance. The NHL postseason is always unpredictable, but this season's unique format promises to bring one of the most thrilling, dramatic, and chaotic playoffs yet. So without further ado, let's just jump into it, starting things off in the Eastern Conference. The very first matchup has the number 5 Pittsburgh Penguins up against the number 12 Montreal Canadiens. I think this is probably the most lopsided matchup of the qualifying round, as the experienced Pittsburgh Penguins are facing off against a rebuilding team in Montreal that snuck its way into the tournament despite being 10 points out of a playoff spot at the season's pause. If Montreal wants any chance to win this series, they'll need goalie Carey Price to stand on his head. But I think that Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and all the firepower on the Pittsburgh team means that the Penguins should make quick work of Montreal in this series. I think that Pittsburgh will win in a sweep. Penguins in 3 is my prediction. The next matchup has the number 6 seeded Carolina Hurricanes taking on the number 11 seeded New York Rangers. Now, the Hurricanes are coming off a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals last season, and with their deep defensive core, I think Carolina is absolutely the favorite in this series. However, the Rangers really shouldn't be counted out, with the advantage in net and, of course, Hart Trophy candidate Artemi Panarin up front. I think this will be a hard-fought series, but in the end, I think New York has what it takes to pull off the upset. I think this one goes the distance, and I think the Rangers take it home in 5 games. The next series has the number 7 New York Islanders taking on the number 10 seeded Florida Panthers. The Panthers have some talent up front, led of course by Alexander Barkov, but they've really struggled to put it all together this season. And if you couple that with serious problems in net from the inconsistent play of Sergei Bobrovsky, who's a 2-time Vezina Trophy winner, and I think the Panthers are in trouble. Now, Bobrovsky's a wild card. He could be amazing this playoffs, but I think it's more than likely he'll struggle again. And I think the Islanders, they may not be the most skilled team outside of Matthew Barzal, but they're very gritty, very defensive-minded, and Barry Trotz is a great coach, so I think that'll be enough to help the Islanders get past the Panthers in 4 games. The next matchup has the number 8 seeded Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the number 9 Columbus Blue Jackets. These teams are almost complete opposites. The Maple Leafs are absolutely star-studded. Tavares, Marner, Matthews, the list goes on, and they came into this season with sky-high expectations. Meanwhile, they're taking on the quietly solid Blue Jackets team, who absolutely nobody expected to even be in the playoffs after they lost Panarin and much more of their core in the offseason. But John Tortorella has found a way to get his team here, and I think they will give the Maple Leafs fits this series. However, Toronto is, of course, playing in their home rink, and I think it'll be a hard-fought series that goes down to the wire, but in the end, the Maple Leafs will find a way to take it home. I'm taking Toronto in 5 games. Now let's head on over to the Western Conference. The first series we have has the number 5 seeded Edmonton Oilers taking on the number 12 seeded Chicago Blackhawks. This time, Edmonton is the team in their home arena, and the young, skilled Oilers, led by Draisaitl and McDavid up front, actually draw a pretty tough test in this veteran-laden Blackhawks squad. Kane and Taves, of course, have won cups in their day and will beat the Hawks in this series, but I think in the end, the powerful offense of the Oilers will be just a little bit too much for the Blackhawks to handle. I'm picking the Oilers in 4 games. Next up, we have the number 6 Nashville Predators taking on the number 11 Arizona Coyotes. The Coyotes will need Phil Kessel and Taylor Hall to step up in this series. Both of them are new to this team because Arizona has not made the playoffs since 2012, and they really don't have that playoff experience. Contrast that to Nashville, who's definitely been there before and has a veteran-heavy squad. I think the well-roundedness of the Predators means they'll be able to handle a Coyotes team that's still reeling from John Chayka's departure pretty easily. The Predators in a sweep, 3 games. Next, we have the Vancouver Canucks seated at number 7, taking on the number 10 seeded Minnesota Wild. This one I also think is a battle of opposites. The Wild are very kind of old and aging, but they still have that veteran experience that could come in handy this playoffs. Meanwhile, they're up against a very young Canucks team on the rise, who have some super great young studs like Pettersson, Besser, and Hughes, but those players don't really have much playoff experience. So I think Minnesota's experience in the playoffs will make this series closer than many expect, but of course with Jacob Markstrom in net, I think that's enough for Vancouver to be able to handle the Wild. I'm taking the Canucks in 4 games. And the final series of the qualifying round in the Western Conference is also the one that I think will be the closest. It has the number 8 Calgary Flames taking on the number 9 seeded Winnipeg Jets. I think this should be a fun one. Both teams somewhat underachieved this season, and it should be great to see them pitted up against each other. Winnipeg has a clear advantage in net with Vezina Trophy candidate Connor Hellebuck. Meanwhile, Calgary's experiencing a bit of a goalie controversy, as well as a lot of other teams in these qualifying rounds, I should mention. But I think that the Flames are a deeper team overall, especially on defense. I think they have a pretty big advantage. And so while I think this series is a borderline toss-up, I think I give Calgary a slight edge, and I think they'll be able to sneak by and get a really close matchup and advance to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm taking the Flames in 5 games. So that's going to do it for this video. Please leave a like if you're excited for the NHL to come back. I know that I am. And also let me know what you think of my predictions, and maybe leave your own predictions down in the comments below. Who you think's going to win these matchups, and then also who you think's going to go to the Stanley Cup and win that. I think out of all these teams in the qualifying matchups, I think that the Nashville Predators in the West and the Pittsburgh Penguins in the East are the teams that look the best positioned to make a run to the Cup. And if I had to make a pick, I'd take the Penguins as my Stanley Cup champions right now. Still, with shortened series and players hitting the ice for the first time in over 4 months, I think these games are sure to be full of surprises, upsets, and chaos. So don't be surprised if these predictions look absolutely ridiculous by the end of the postseason. But all we need to know is get ready to expect the unexpected, sit back, relax, and enjoy the return of hockey. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time.